without the project.
Hey, where are you going?
To the county office. We're having an interview for Erasmus School.
Oh, really? Good luck. Bye.
We are students from High School Andrei Lavanttal. This is an interview for the project Let's Build Europe Together, in which our partners Italy, Spain, Greece, Austria and us, Croatia.
So, now I will ask some of the questions. So, what is the administrative tutorial division inside of the Republic of Croatia?
Yes, well, in Croatia we have a two-tier system. Basically, this means that you have units of regional self-government, and this would be the counties, and units of local self-government. These are towns or cities and municipalities. And currently we have 20 counties, plus the city of Zagreb, which has the status of both a county and a town. And I think we have some under 130, 127 towns and 429, I think, municipalities.
What are the authorities of the president of the county and how are they elected?
The president is elected to a 4-year term, and he's elected by the majority of votes cast. Well, his authorities include, there are several of them, but I'm going to name just a few. So he adopts bylaws and decisions. He actually supervises the implementation, the enforcement of bylaws that are adopted by the representative body of the county, and this would be, in our case, county assembly. Because the president has, he's the executive body of the county, and the assembly is the representative one. What he also does, he appoints and dismisses directors of the institutions that have been founded by the county. And ultimately, he is responsible for the county budget as well.
Okay. Can you explain the organizational structure of the countries?
Countries or counties?
Counties.
People get confused. So the counties, well, they form administrative departments. This is what they're called. They're basically like ministries within the government. Each of them has their own sector within which they operate and work. In our county, we have 12 administrative departments. For instance, I work for the county office, and within this county office I work for the President's Cabinet. What we do, we organize protocol activities, we organize international activities with our regions, partners, within the associations, international interregional associations that we are members of. We organize events, conferences, but the county office does not solely do that. It is in charge of petitions, for instance, relations with minorities, with civil society. Then there's the whole operational issue that evolves around the county assembly. So the sessions, the minutes, the points of order, they do all that. Besides the county office, as I said, there are 11 administrative departments. We have Department for Financial Affairs and Budget and Procurement, Public Procurement. Then Asset Management, General Affairs, Regional Development, Infrastructure and Project Management, Health and Education, obviously, Tourism and Rural Development and Entrepreneurship, Youth and Social Affairs. We have Culture, Sports and Technical Culture, and we have, of course, the Internal Audit Office, which performs audits not only the departments but also the institutions that the county is founded. I think I have left several out. Yes, the one for spatial planning and construction and environmental protection and maritime domain and transport and connections.
All right. What is the degree of autonomy of the counties? How are they financed, and what can be financed from their budgets?
Yes, but I'm quite certain that if you were to ask this question to any of the county presidents, they would probably tell you that the counties lack autonomy and the decentralization process in Croatia is insufficient. But what I'm going to tell you anyway is that according to the Act on Local and Regional Self-Government, the basic task of the counties is to try to equalize the development of municipalities and towns that are located on its territory. Also, it has to coordinate their different interests. Because, for instance, in our county, you have the hinterland of Gorski Kotar, which has problems of, let's say, then you have the coastline and the islands. It's all quite different, so you have to coordinate and try to harmonize it. And this is difficult, of course. There are different kinds of, or actually there are two types of revenues. The county has its own revenues and the shared ones. The shared ones are actually joint taxes, basically. Own revenues of the county are taxes on gifts and inheritance. Then you have road, motor vehicles taxes, vessels taxes, and the what are they called? Coin-operated machines. Those are the ones you find in amusement parks or in casinos.
Right.
You understand what I mean? Yes. Those and the shared revenues are personal income tax, obviously, and the real estate transfer tax. So if you buy a new house, you're going to pay taxes to both the town or municipality. Yes, that's it. And what can be funded? Well, various things. I'm just going to name a few. The buildings and facilities of primary and secondary education. What else? Healthcare centers, primary healthcare centers and social welfare centers. This is something that can be financed by the budget. The equipment as well, the vehicles, for instance, for primary healthcare centers. This is something, and the roads, the maintenance of roads, county roads. This is one.
So what is the difference between national, local and regional self-governance?
Well, it's the functions. So the counties are in charge of regional functions, obviously, the towns and municipalities of local issues, and the central government, the state, dealing with issues of national interest. You wouldn't have the counties or towns, discussing defense and security policy of Croatia, obviously. As you wouldn't have the government of Croatia discussing utility system in a certain municipality. That's obvious.
How many members are there in Croatian Parliament, and what is their role? What is the government structure in the Republic of Croatia?
I think currently we have 151 members of the Croatian Parliament, Sabor, and they have legislative power. So what they do, they enact laws, they adopt decisions, recommendations, they proclaim peace or announce war. They can change, they can amend the constitution. They carry out civic oversight over the armed forces. They appoint and dismiss the members of the government. Yes, well. As for the government itself, it has executive power, and it has a president of the government, who is also called Prime Minister. Currently, I think there are 4 vice prime ministers in Croatia and 16, if I'm not mistaken, ministries.
Are you satisfied with the participation of young people in political life of Primorsko-Goranska County? Are young people interested in regional and national politics? What is the situation in other EU countries?
This is a very difficult question to answer. I don't think that we have concrete statistics regarding the participation of young people, or at least I'm not aware of it. Generally, the situation in the EU is not very promising because there's a negative trend. Fewer and fewer younger people actually vote. And I think I've read somewhere that at one elections for MEPs, members of the European Parliament, the youngest generation, so 18, 24 years of age, I think the turnout percentage was below 30, which is really low, and is a source of concern for, or at least it should be a source of concern for European politicians. What I can say from our own experience, I think it was December, so 1 month ago, that we hosted 12th, I think, regional session of the European Youth Parliament. I don't know if you've heard of it. It took place in Rijeka, actually, at the City Hall, and I was present there. And I must say that I was surprised by the number of young people from our region who actually attended the event and participated in the organization. And it was really fascinating, at least to me, to see how enthusiastic they were about the whole thing. And it was for free. I mean, they held sessions, because basically they simulate sessions and past sessions and sittings of the European Parliament that generally take place in Brussels or Strasbourg. And it was really interesting to see, because they were divided in committees, real committees, them and I don't know, petty, and they were, proposing arguments and counter-arguments. It was really interesting. So I guess there are people who are interested in local, regional, and European politics.
All right. Do more people vote in regional or in general elections? Do national or local and regional issues create more interest? What about the situation in other EU countries?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, the last 3 elections, parliamentary general elections that we had, the turnout was around 55%, whereas in regional election it was around 55. So basically this would mean 10 percentage point advantage for the general elections. I don't know what the situation in other European countries is, but I would think that in countries in which regions have greater autonomy, greater authority, the turnout in regional elections is bigger.
Okay, how could young people become more interested in politics?
Well, I guess I should ask you this question, because you're the young people. I presume that raising awareness is important among young people. One of the initiatives that I think that is really good is the introduction of civic education in primary schools that takes place in our county. It's not just teaching the children, about tolerance and non-violence. It's also a way of conveying key political messages of inclusion and respect for diversity, respect of human rights, and it is important. These are all key messages, I think. And what I also think is that the young need to get acquainted with the system. Who are the main stakeholders, what they do, what are their obligations, what are their tasks and rights, and what are the obstacles they're facing. Because you need to understand first in order to decide whether or not you want to get involved.
Except through political parties, what are other ways in which citizens can participate in decisions making or express their dissatisfaction with political decisions?
There's the elections. It has become a popular way of actually expressing one's dissatisfaction. Referendums. I remember two. One was, I think, on the accession to the European Union, and the other one on the constitutional definition of marriage. You have strikes, you have protests, I don't know, but lately it has become very popular for people to express their views, political views also, in all sorts of ways. Social media, for instance, people are posting on Facebook, tweeting, using hashtags for Instagram, and this is not just some trend that President Trump initiated. This happens in Croatia as well, so yes, it's interesting.
So do you have maybe any suggestions on how to get citizens more interested inside of the political elections? And what is the rate of participation in political elections in Croatia compared to other EU countries?
Some time ago, years ago actually, I came across a survey that was carried out, I think, by Eurobarometer. Was it Eurostat? I don't know. But anyway, it regarded the situation in EU member states, obviously. And I really can't recall if Croatia was a member back then. But there was one question in the survey which said basically, would the fact that you're not interested in politics be the reason for you not voting? And the highest percentage was, and this is something that surprised me, the highest result was achieved in Sweden and Poland. They had 60%. Third place, I think, was Portugal. Yes, Portugal. And the Croatian result was even worse. It was 63. So, I don't know if things have changed since, but somehow, I don't know, I have my doubts. Recommendations, it's hard to tell. As I said, raising awareness is important. What is also very important is the transparency of the decision-making process. Because the general public needs to be able to ask questions and to receive answers. And the accountability of the politicians is crucial, because if other people get the impression that they cannot change things, and this creates a gloomy atmosphere in the society, and I think everything should be done in order to avoid this.
Thank you for answering these questions in the main person.